I'll do the other one when I get the energy, because there are more exciting things to do. Yeah, exhaust pipes. Yeah, much more fun. Ah, well, we ain't need no stinking requirements. Lots of fittings and things, and this is roughly what it's going to look like, I guess. It's a really tight fit down this end, so I might have to actually put a split in the new pipe just to ease it in and then tighten it up at the end. Yeah, do we like those? I think they're going to be loud. Well, there's some baffling in there. So, yeah, there we go. Time to start hacking them apart then, I suppose. Starting with something a little bit less drastic. Now I'm going to use some fairly coarse sandpaper and just run it around the inside of that. Clean it up a bit. Maybe around the outside of that. Smooth it off a bit. Actually ended up using the old silencer to, yes, can I help you? To just give it a little bit more stretch, and it slots in nicely now. Of course the originals are tapered slightly at the entrance to make life easier, and these aren't. Roughly positioned, and interestingly, I mean, you know, I've got a choice of any which way I want to hang these out the back, honestly. I'm not sure if I like that or not. It's a bit meh. It kind of fits nicely there. You can spin them around. It's kind of what they're advertised as. Don't know, honestly. Anyway, guess I don't have to decide just yet. It's all just pushed in as far as it will go. Haven't tightened that up yet, so I can play around with these and see what I think. On the flip side of the super tight fit on what they're supposed to be there, their own fitting is super baggy, and therefore it just kind of falls down to this position almost. And yeah, that spring's way too long, as you can see. Luckily, I think I have some other springs from other exhaust systems, which might be better. More precision engineering from the Far East. As for the rest of this shit, I have no idea what I'm going to use that for. Spun this round a bit so it's more in line with how it's all supposed to be, and there you can see the chocolate teapot. Yeah, that's going to hold that on. Wow, always worth a look in the springs and things box. Bingo. There you go, proper ones. Much better. They were actually quite hard to get on, which means that they're holding it nice and tight. Right now I'm working out what to do with that whole kind of rear subframe, for want of a better word, what the foot pegs hang off, what the brake pedal hangs off. So it's kind of complicated this side because of the brake cylinder, and it's probably kind of complicated the other side because of the gearbox kind of stuff. So I'm going to put the pipe on the other side, see what that looks like, and then take it from there, I think. Do a bit of work on Photoshop. Well, even at an angle, they're not straight. I mean, you know, yeah, they're not level. So that's disappointing. They're nearly level, I suppose. Anyway, in the process, I managed to discover what this mount is for. Yeah, and it goes through there like that a little bit. But, I mean, still a chocolate teapot. What am I going to mount that to? Another bracket to there. And actually, once it tightens up, because that's just the bracket down there, That ain't going anywhere. So, what have we got over here? Well, obviously we've got the gear lever mount, and that is it. Like the foot peg, obviously. So I think I'm going to investigate rear set pegs for a Ducati Monster 695 2007, as opposed to what I've previously advertised this vehicle as being, as a bit of a cop out. See what's out there. Otherwise, I've got to get on the drawing board and work out where I'm going to chop stuff. That's better. They're kind of level now. And actually all it is just a question of, there's so many angles involved, just a question of twisting that round with this on it to get the right height. I think we're about there. Yeah. I have removed the part of the mounting here in the front, and it's a bit that's fouling on those headlights, because if I can get them in without some extra gubbins, that'll be a lot better. So let's see if that works. Perfect. Plenty of room at the back now. Lovely jubbly. So of course that leaves the inevitable air pressure sensor with somewhere to be relocated. Yes, we've been there before, haven't we, with the Augusta? And at the moment that one is still floating around in the back there somewhere, because I still haven't worked out where I'm going to mount it, if at all. Been attempting to fit the new quick release fittings on the tank end of the fuel line, and it's a real struggle. So what I've done is actually bolted in some slightly wider 10mm bolts into there to stretch that hose out, as you can see. So I hope that will help. Talking of tediously struggly type jobs, I'm going to try fitting these on with my new crimpers in a different manner than the last lot. So, learning from experience, I'm going to put the smaller end of the boot on first before I put the fitting on, and with a little help from some WD-40, the KY of the motoring world. So before I do anything stupid or wrong again with the HT leads, my buddy Kurt is coming tomorrow, and he's a electrical genius, so I'm going to allow him to show me what I should be doing, and hopefully he's got a better tool than the one I stole from Ricky Booby. So yeah, Kurt's coming over tomorrow because he's a rally freak, he's a rally nutcase, and I have to take this back to Flagstaff, and of course he wants to come with me. So I thought we'd do a little bit of work on the seat, because I'm going to give the seat to Derek to give to whoever it is who's going to do the seat. But yeah, I've got this backrest thing, which I may or may not even need, honestly, but I'm just bending up this bit so it'll fit the contours of the plastique. And yeah, I've got to get rid of that little knobble there, haven't we? Oh, that's a good place to bolt it though, probably. Just one of these boys. Talking of great buddies. Cheers, Steph. That's about as far as I can go with that right now, and these are probably superfluous, or they'll come over the back underneath, because the seat foam comes all the way to this edge. So she's probably going to be stapling that there, so this needs to be a gentler curve, if at all. Even if the whole thing at all, honestly. Depends what the seat looks like when it comes back. Don't hold your breath. You know how long it was just to come and collect the Augusta, let alone deliver it back. And I'm still waiting for the fuel tank. This is a slow donor, you know. Having worked out where I'm going to chop these exhaust mount, footrest mount, blah, blah, blah. Subframe, that's what I think I called it the other time. So yeah, having worked out where I'm going to chop it, I'm actually not going to chop it. I'm going to let Derek do it, and because it's going to need a lot of finishing off there, and that's his speciality. He is a metal worker. So in which case I might as well take it all off and dangle the dangly bits as required. All kinds of nuts and bolts. The tiny ones are obviously for the brake cylinder. The big ones are the bottom ones, and the little ones, medium-sized ones, are for the top ones. This is as much for my benefit as it is for yours. And now we got that off to some degree. Still a way to go. So we've got the brake light switch, for want of a better word, is there, and then the brake lever itself, and that's popped out in the back of the cylinder here. So take those off now. By the way, should have done this when the exhaust was off. Could have got to the brake lever without, or before taking the mount off, but there we go. Doesn't matter. Uh-oh, I spy a spring in there. And they're always full of surprises. So looking from the front of the brake lever, the spring rests on that back edge, and then that part of it, this part of it, kind of hooks in there somewhere, up there actually. And there's the switch, which dubious if that ever works actually. Probably needs some adjustment. I suppose it's enough. Probably should have checked before I undid it all, but I think that hooks over there, and obviously the brake lever's got like 90 degrees to go through its turning capacity before that looks real. But it's a real gentle spring, so it's just enough to bring it back to a level and off the switch, which, as you can see, we're 90 degrees out here. There's the switch operating bolt. One side free and clear. And by the way, I actually did find one set of rear set pegs for a Ducati Monster 695. Plenty for a 696 and all other models of the Monster, but of course my one happens to be odd, and they were like $400 as opposed to $60 for everything else that was available, which is why I'm going the Derrick route. Although there is the other route, of course, which is keeping the mounts intact, the subframe, whatever I called it, and flogging those on eBay and setting that against the cost of the new ones. I shall investigate that and get back to you, because they're probably a pretty penny themselves, the original ones, right? So that's all that stuff from that side, and I used one of those tire wrap things, you know, those bendy wire things that come with all kinds of clubber. I always keep them because they're just really easy to reuse and tie stuff together, so I know where the spring goes, which side it goes. Don't have to refer to my own silly videos. I'll just pop it all in that bag and it'll be good for when I come back to put it all back together again. It's the theory anyway. You might imagine that taking the gear shift off is actually more complicated than the brake pedal, but actually it's not. So it's that one 6mm Allen, and that's free and clear. And I'm just going to leave that dangling there and kind of remember that, hopefully, and not trip over it or break it off. But yeah, that was nice and easy. I could take it off there, but there's no point. So just those 4 big guys to go, and that's nice and easy on this side. Sweet. Again, just for my reference, really, small washer closest to the rubber grommet, big rubber grommet, and then the big washer spacer to hold it out from the frame. Okay, interestingly down here, spacer on the rearmost but not on the frontmost, because we got the whole kickstand involved, which brings it out just that little bit further at the front. So remember that when I put it back on. Put those other exhaust mounts on, these boys here, and that's actually firmed it up a lot. I mean, that ain't going anywhere. So I don't need no braces up this end. I'm good. And a bag of other unique exhaust mount parts are going to be superfluous to requirement again, because they mounted up here and all that's going to be chopped off. So yeah, don't need that. Chopped off or shopped off to eBay, depending on whether I go for the rear sets or not, or whether I hand it over to Derek. Tidied up some of the factory cabling with the plastic, I don't know what you call it, sheath. There you go. Just a little bit of added protection, and I think it looks nice. So, thanks to my dear wife Betsy, I'm still alive, and the bike has not crashed into anything. Because what I've neglected to consider was that, as I remarked, this was integral to the side stand that went through the subframe, and of course that meant that this basically collapsed, luckily gently, into the Augusta. So yeah, we're back with a side stand that's not going to fall over now, which is good. And you may well ask, where did my wife come into the equation? Well, she held the bike up while I bolted it on, and we're all good. Plastic bags are off, and these are now screwed into position with the hose clips, and yeah, looking good, I think. What do you think? Sweet. Lovely jubbly. Monkey. Not only did Kurt have a better pair of crimpers, he had a whole box of goodies, all to do with spark plugs, etc. And this MSD propper tool, which actually really helped get it started. Actually, I finished it off with these, but I mean, this just got it on the right path. And you can see, much better. Still not factory perfect, but much tighter little nip on that. So, lovely. Thanks, Curdy B. He's gone. Just getting an overview of everything, using that bottom plate possibly as a cover up top. Speedo's obviously going to go behind that. Tank back in place. Comfortably. I was just checking actually whether it fitted over all the stuff underneath it, and it does comfortably, so that's good. Still got my headlights timing out, which is either the switch being an indicator switch with a timeout on it, which I doubt, or there they go, a battery saving device, because the motor's not running. While I was looking at tidying up cables, what surprises me with Ducati manufacturers, potentially in general, is if you're going to go to all the trouble of putting these nice little mounts that you can cable tie stuff through safely, why put them there? Why not put them inside where you can't see the cabling? Just a question. So yeah, don't know what I'm going to do about that, if anything. Probably nothing, because without dropping the motor out, there's no connection, no easy clip connection for that cable. And Ducati decided to route it around the outside, so to put it inside would involve kind of unbolting all that and dropping the motor out. So not going to do that. It ceases to amaze me though that there's probably umpteen design meetings where everyone agrees that that's going to go there and whatever, and really, some of you guys need to speak up when you think it's not a good idea. A little grinding, I feel. Wouldn't you agree? Tied it up a little bit, and I'm going to use some Bondo just to smooth it all off, fill in the cracks as it were, and then paint it up when I'm ready. But my Bondo has officially expired after several years, so I need to get some more. One of those things you're supposed to keep in the fridge once you've taken the top off? I don't think so. Meantime, I've fed all the wires for the headlight up top so I can get to them easily, and I might actually use connectors rather than melding them together with those heat shrink things that I like. And then all the switch gear is going to happen down here, and I may cut that sheath back and shorten those wires, at least for the headlamp, because they don't need to be that long. Monkey agrees with me. What are you eating now? It's a dipstick. Dipstick. You're not even supposed to be in here because you can't be trusted not to jump on that, can you? Wait. Cut that back to give me more room to work with, and it's revealed what I should have been able to work out already, I guess, is that there's a join there from the flash button and the light switch. So that is your high beam. So me red and blue over there matches up with the red and blue-ish over here. So red and blue is definitely the high beam. Actually, red and black. Red and black. So I can't remember what I wrote down on the board, but I can check it out. And then, yeah, you can take it from there. Yes, got that completely wrong. Blue is not high. Blue is low beam. And W, oh, well, that's on the other thing, but red is the high beam. So you can probably just about see in there that with my new assumption, I'm also assuming that the white was the red and black, i.e. the high beam, and therefore the blue must be the low beam, which actually correlates nicely with the blue wiring on the headlights themselves. So let's see if we're right. Testing again with these guys before I do it all for real. Well, I got it right down here in terms of the red and black being the high beam, but up here it wasn't the blue to the blue, it was the white to the blue, and there we have everything on. So that was that bit there. As always, a little trial and error with some logic applied, hopefully. Well, this is boring because I'm just sitting there waiting, because no matter which of the red or the blue, or the red and the blue, or the red and the black, and the red and the yellow, I actually switch these two, there's some kind of timer device that actually switches them off. I don't know whether that's within the switch or within the Ducati system, because maybe the motor's not running, so it doesn't want to run the battery down, but it is connected to a lifeline. Yeah, see, there you go. Well, having established this weirdness, I think I'm not going to do any end result wiring, even with connectors, because yeah, I want to see if the lights turn themselves off even when the engine's running. So I need to get the fuel tank back on there and kick it over and listen to those sweet exhaust pipes, those ones. Then we'll make our mind up about the wiring situation. Funnily enough, I got the chance to look at some YouTube channels that I like to watch last night, and one of my favourites is For the Bold, a similar guy in the UK actually, working out of a small shed, creating some wonderful stuff, and he's doing a Monster at the same time right now. Very different from what I'm doing, but at the same time he did come to the same conclusion as me about the foot pegs and the frame that holds them in. So that's kind of interesting, because it spurred me on to go that route rather than buy something off the shelf, because it looks really nice on his bike, and I'm going to do it myself actually, because he did, so I'd be a chicken if I didn't. And I think that about sums up this episode, so I'll be cracking on with that in the next episode, as well as some other things. Thanks again for watching. Do subscribe, and do encourage others to watch my lunacy.